Hi guys, and in today's video we're going to review the NGS headline and just cover what's coming to NGS in the next couple of weeks. Hi everyone and welcome back to another video for PSO2 NGS. So today's video we're just going to be reviewing the NGS headline. I'm just going to go through some of the slides that they showed because they didn't necessarily say everything in the video part of the NGS headline. So I'm just going to go through some of the updates we're expecting over the next couple of weeks and just my overall impressions of them. So the first thing they showed off is that we're getting the final part of main story chapter 6. So it looks like Anna's going to have some new rookies that she's training. I think they did briefly introduce one of these guys. I think it was this guy with the hair in the last mission, in the last story quest. But now we're going to learn a bit more about them. So that's the first thing that they showed. Next up, we've got some updates to Kvaris. So as you know, NGS operates on like a rolling system where one region gets updated and the next region follows. So we've already had Aelio and Retem updated, so it makes sense that Kvaris is next. So what we're getting is an update to the ancient enemies in Rayjord Gorge, and they're also putting Recon Gigants and Gigantics there as well. We're also adding a Starless Dread enemy down there as well. We're also adding these new things called Grand Torch stands in Rayjord Gorge. So if you haven't been to Rayjord Gorge before, it's an area where as soon as you go in there, you start taking cold damage because it's excessively cold in the bottom of the gorge. What these torches do is, once you interact with them, they give you some immunity to the cold damage for a little while. You can also get these mini torches scattered around as well that will extend the duration. They also explain that once you've interacted with a torch, it will also imbue your weapon with fire damage for a bit as well. I'm a bit mixed on that because I feel that the only sort of defining characteristic of Rayjord Gorge was the fact that it did cold damage to you. It was like the only unique area in the game that did that. So this just feels like nerfing the gorge to me, but we'll have to see how it actually plays out once it gets added. Next up, we're getting a new rank to the Belugana Ruins. This is all for the beginning of, well, it's actually for the very end of January update. We're actually getting this tomorrow, the 31st of January. So we're getting a new rank to Belugana Ruins with increased enemy levels, obviously. And they're adding dash rings to the area as well, just to make it a bit easier. It does say they're adding smoother movement using floating boards as well, which I find hilarious because to me, floating boards control horribly. They're adding some more red boxes for some reason. But one thing you can get in them is it does say you get the materials to make the new 10-star set, the rare weapons, and the 9-star Ionia armor. And there's the usual things like new limited tasks, new Gigantics, things like that. So it's just a general update to the Kvaris region. They're also adding this new feature called Tames Trapping in Kvaris and Aelio. Strangely, I think this is already in Retem, but it's a very, very rare trial. I think I've only seen it once, where you basically have to lure the Tames into this area to trap them. So they're adding that to Kvaris and Aelio as well. So next up, we're also, again into tomorrow's update, we're getting the level cap raised to 85. I always find it really strange that they raise the level cap by 5 levels at a time, because they always give you tasks with so much experience anyway that you usually end up hitting the cap within a day anywhere. So it seems really odd that they just increase it by 5 levels at a time. But yeah, so we're getting level 85 cap. We're also getting a new rank for the Man in Rig Defense and Remnants of Ambition urgent quests. So I would imagine that the Remnants of Ambition quest will probably become the main new hot urgent quest. So that's the one that has Zveto in it, if you're not familiar with it. We're also getting a new Arcs record, which is only for Ranger and Gunner, and another Arcs record for all classes. The reason that one of them is only for Ranger and Gunner is because Ranger and Gunner are actually getting their balance adjustments tomorrow. I thought that was going to be quite a bit down the line, but they've actually bringing it in tomorrow. So we don't know any specifics of that yet exactly. It's quite similar to how they did it with Bouncer, where we didn't really know what the exact changes were until we actually got in the game. It does seem like it's going to be quite a significant change, though, to both Ranger and Gunner. So I'm quite looking forward to that, because Ranger is a class well, to be honest, Ranger and Gunner are classes I've never really enjoyed that much. I've always found that Ranger it's way too reliant on Assault Rifle, and also the obviously expectation to do Blight rounds as well. It just feels like you are pigeonholed into that one role of do Blight rounds and use your Assault Rifle. But I would like to use Launcher more personally. So I'm interested to see what these changes are, and hopefully it brings a bit more life into the class. And Gunner, I just hope that they find some way of making the chain work a bit better. I just don't feel that the way that chain works at the moment is very conducive to, to making it a fun class to play, just in my opinion. So next up, they showed up some new creative space things as well, and again, this is all coming tomorrow. So they're adding the Kvaris theme for creative space, so you'll be able to make your creative space like a snowy theme. And there's also things like mining rig build parts that you can use to build your own mining rig. The pretty bad thing about that is that to have the mining rig in your creative space is actually in the Arcs Cash shop, so it's actually a paid purchase, which for something as minor as that, I think is a pretty poor decision, honestly. Next up, they are adding some good quality of life improvements, so they're adding a new feature that allows you to more finely tweak the position and angle of parts that you've placed, and you can change terrain height as well. This was a big problem in the creative space, where if you were trying to build something and then build something directly on top of it, sometimes it was really awkward to line it up properly because of how the snapping worked. And if you took the snap off, then it would be really hard to line it up perfectly. So having that ability to actually manually adjust the terrain height as well, that's really, really good. I'm glad they've brought little improvements like that in. You can also go to a selected player space from the friend list. So instead of having to go to the creative space and then choose your friend, you can now just go straight from the friend list instead. So I like that they're adding all these quality of life improvements to the creative space. I would like to see them do a little bit more with it, because I do feel like when creative space launched, it was the new hot thing to do for about a week or two, and now no one really touches it. So I'd like to see a bit more investment in the creative space, really. But things like these quality of life improvements are a good start. Next thing is they're adding a new thing called Auto Join Party. So this is exactly what it sounds like. Basically, it'll be an option that you can turn on in your options. You can also do it just on the main menu as well by the looks of things. So what this does is, if you're in, for example, the example they showed was they were in a combat zone and they were solo. They ran towards a party that was already in the combat zone, and as soon as they got near the party, they automatically joined it. So it's good for, just joining up quickly to, to get more experience, because as you probably know, you get more experience in a party I think there might be a rare drop boost as well, possibly, if you play in a party. It does actually say here, so yeah, you will get an experience boost, Mazetta boost, and rare drop boost will activate upon joining a party. So it's just making it easy to party up with people. And it says that this will start before any multi-party quests, during a trial in a combat sector, or at a PSE burst. Hopefully that won't spam you with notifications for someone trying to join your party. It sounds like it is all automatic, so I would imagine that there's no notifications involved and it just happens straight away. So next thing is there was a lot of little improvements that they're adding as well that weren't actually mentioned in the video. So they are reducing the waiting times for quests in Battle Dias and some other quests as well. So that should just let you just get parties in Battle Dias faster. I don't know how that works. I'm assuming there must be like a check it does when it's searching for parties, and maybe they've streamlined that to make it quicker. But anything that can make you do those quests faster has to be an improvement. You can also now, the DPS counter that they added recently, you can now adjust where it sits on the screen. So they showed it, you can have it right next to your character if you want to. Is there any other big ones here? So the easy photo mode, so for people who like taking screenshots, the easy photo mode, now it will you can have it to remember where the camera's previous angle was. So if you set a screenshot up and then you need to come out of the easy photo mode, when you go back in, you can set it so it will just go back to where it was. Which I think is how the original PSO2 camera used to work. There's some new Arcs ID backdrops with the Kvaris quintuplets. Now, this one, it's not a very big change, but it's just a convenient one. Again, it's a lot of sort of small quality of life improvements. So when you use gold prim sword 2s or gold prim armor 2s as enhancement materials, they're removing the confirmation that pops up when you go to use them. So normally you would go to use the sword and it would say, are you sure you want to use that to destroy that weapon because it's a 7-star? So they're removing that confirmation now, because realistically you're only ever going to use gold items for grinding. So by removing that confirmation, it just speeds up the grinding process a little bit. It's also letting new players can skip the prologue even with the first characters. That one I'm a bit mixed on, because surely if you're a new player to the game and you skip the prologue, I wonder if it'll tell them that you're actually going to skip a lot of the story, because if you skip the prologue, you'll have no idea what happens at Elio Town. But Unless it does like a summary of it or something, I'm not sure. But it's a bit of a strange choice, that one. I suppose it's good for getting people into Central City quicker, but without the prologue, you won't necessarily know what happens in the story unless you go back and look at the Axe Chronicles. So it'll be interesting to see how they actually implement that. And again, this is all in the update tomorrow. So next, and again, same update. They are balancing some preset skills. So this was mentioned a while back actually, but they're actually implementing it in the update tomorrow. So they're basically buffing all preset skills. Interesting, it says overall increase except for some preset skills. I would assume that skills like Abandak are probably not getting buffed because Abandak's already really, really strong. They have said though that it will be quite a big buff to Fixer-Terminer. And because of that, because of the effect that has with the Verschmelt weapons, they are actually going to nerf the Verschmelt potential slightly. I don't think that'll affect too many people because realistically, I think a lot of people for their main gear at like endgame or current endgame, I think a lot of people have probably moved on from Verschmelts now. Verschmelts, I personally only use it for my dual gear just because it's cheap fodder I can use for dual weapons. I think a lot of people now have moved on to either Melek or Tisa, or if you're really lucky, Flugel Guard. I think the majority of people are probably using Meleks now. So they're also changing it so that drop-only preset skills can now be granted via enhanced skills. So that means that you'll be able to enhance skills like a Bandak. I'm assuming, anyway. There's also some new item recycle items, which again are going to be used in regards to the preset skills. Next, we've got they're adding creation data on the website for the, certain characters from the game. So what this means is, if you're the kind of person who likes to cosplay the characters in the game, you'll actually have official files that you can download that are the exact proportions for all these characters, so you can get the face and everything perfectly right. You will still obviously have to get all the outfits and everything and the hairstyles and everything for them, but to help with that, they are releasing a Revival SG scratch that will have all of their NPC items in. So it's good for people, you know, if you want to make a character that looks like Manon or a character that looks like Garoa, you'll have that choice where you'll be able to just download their file from the website and then use that and get, once you've got the gear, you'll be able to make a perfect copy of them. I don't really feel too good about this, to be honest, because it does kind of feel like it's just reusing content. I know it's only for a limited quest and it's only going to be for a little while, but it does kind of feel like we are focusing on this cycle of taking old content, recycling it as a limited quest without giving us anything that's actually permanent content. I really want to see some good permanent content in NGS that you can do at any time. Obviously, Lucille was a good start with that, but I'd like to see more of that kind of thing and less of this recycling for limited quests. We're also getting some build parts from PSO2 for creator space as well. Okay, so next we've got the updates for the middle of February, so this is for the 14th. So we're getting a limited time urgent quest, which is Halphia Lake Counterattack Part 2. So from what they've shown, it seems like this is going to be essentially the 8-player version of Malignant Darkfalt's Aegis. Now, they did say it's a limited time urgent quest, so I'm assuming it's only going to be on for a few weeks, possibly. But it did just seem to be the Malignant Darkfalt's Aegis fight from what they showed. Okay, new mission pass and some new Arcs records. Next, they showed off a second collaboration with the VTuber brand Nijisanji. So we're getting 4 new VTubers, and we're getting various things for them. So we're getting a scratch that has all their outfits in, some of their gear. We're getting login bonuses. It's kind of similar to the last one that we got. So this one is going to be, it's 4 from the Japanese branch of Nijisanji. So it's Amamiya Kokoro, Nagaoke, Matsukai Mao, and Yorumi Rena. So, as I said, we're going to get basically a scratch that's got all their outfits and everything in. We're also getting theme region mags and some backgrounds for your Arcs ID and things like that as well. So if you're a fan of Nijisanji, then you know this might be something you're interested in. So next, this is for the 21st of February. We're getting new rank added to Lost Central. So we're getting Belagana Ruins at the beginning of the month, and then later in the month we're getting the update to Lost Central as well. And again, usual kind of thing, so increased enemy levels and starless. We're also getting this strange edition called Crimson Realm. So what they showed is, in the trailer, is there's an event that can happen in the Kvaris region called Crimson Realm, and it seems to be tied to the combat sectors. When it happens, a Tyrant boss will spawn. So the Tyrant boss is the equivalent of something like Halvaldi Vera that was added in Retem. So there's a new tyrant boss that will spawn during this Crimson Realm, and it seemed to be kind of like a DPS race, so you had a certain time limit to do as much damage as you could to the boss, and you would get rewards based on that. And then once that is done, then completing that side mission will then guarantee that the next PSE burst will be either a PSE burst F or it will get an encore. But that's quite an interesting thing because it's something new for the combat sectors that they're trying, so at least they're actually trying something, you know, different. Then on the 28th of February, we're getting a new limited quest, which is Plateau Clean-Up Op 24. So this is essentially a rerun of the one from last year with, this was I think it was a 24 player quest, but now it's 12, so they've actually reduced it to 12 players now. It's against Vera, and it did show enemies like Dustyl showing up as well. So it looks similar to last year, but maybe more difficult. And again, it's one of those ones where you have to protect the truck. So we're also getting 2 special AC scratches. So from the end of scheduled maintenance on the 28th of February, we're getting the NGS Makeup Revival, which is just releases of things like eyes, makeup patterns, eyebrows, eyelashes, and body paints. And then we're also getting Rewind Collection February 24, which is going to give us items that are centered around previous NGS spec scratch prizes from February and March. So if you missed anything from February and March scratches, then you might have another chance to get them in this scratch. So I don't mind it when they do the revival scratches because it is a good way of picking up things that you've missed out on the first time round. So I just want to cover this. So in the section where they ask different questions, we did actually get someone asking, there's been a bit of a problem with NGS recently where people are abandoning quests a lot. I've noticed it a lot, particularly in the next Vera quest that we had. A lot of people would just ditch at the start of the quest, which would then just screw over everyone else. It also happens a lot in Lucille and in urgent quests as well, and it's really, really irritating when it happens. So I was glad that someone actually asked this. Unfortunately, the answer that we got from Sega was a bit blasé. They basically just said that they log whenever people abandon quests, and if it's excessively high, they may take action, and they encourage people to follow the rules and, you know, and have good manners. I kind of feel like it was sort of sweeping it under the carpet a bit. I do feel like Sega need to come down harder on people who do this regularly, because it is so annoying if you're doing a quest and then people just drop out right at the start. Quite often it's if there isn't a ranger in the quest, sometimes people will just abandon because there's no ranger, and that's ridiculous. And I do feel like Sega really need to do something about it to stop people from doing this. Even if it was just something as simple as, if you abandon a quest, it locks you out of doing that quest for an hour. I would be all for that, just to, you know, to try and stop people from doing this. I appreciate that sometimes, you know, emergencies happen and people have to go unexpectedly, or your internet might drop out. I fully get that. But if people are doing it over and over again, I do feel like if you are continually doing it, you should be locked out that quest, or if you keep doing it, you should be banned. So I was a bit disappointed that Sega were kind of quite hands-off with the response. We also got a little bit more insight into the Crimson Realm that they mentioned earlier. So what they said is they wanted it to actually be something that would encourage people to spread around different combat areas, and they said it will actually appear in a different combat area every day. Now, I don't know if that's just in Kvaris or if it'll cover all different areas. I would love to see it in all the different regions. But basically what they've said is that it's designed to encourage people to spread out and experiment with the combat zones, and because of that it will change every day. So I think that's a really, really good idea, because quite often what will happen with the combat zones is people will just run whatever the daily one is. So we also got this really interesting bit about dual quests. So they mentioned about the roadmap, that obviously we've got dual quest phase 4 coming at some point between January and March. What they said is that after they announced that, they got a lot of feedback from players about wanting to reduce the frequency of dual quests or to change how they worked, which, to be honest, I totally agree with. While I do like the one-on-one boss fight quest, I think it is a really cool thing to sort of test how good your skills are with the game. I don't like how dual quests currently function, in that you need specific gear loadouts for them for specific dual phases. It just makes it really irritating to build gear sets for them, and it's just not fun. I also feel like the rate that you get the reward capsules isn't high enough either. So even if you S rank a dual quest, you'll only get 3 capsules. I just feel it means that you need to grind dual quests a hell of a lot to get anywhere with them. So what they said during this is that they are currently looking into the dual quests, and they've said that from phase 4 they are going to change some things. So first of all, they've said that they're going to make it so that even if you don't have dual phase 4 gear, as long as you've got good gear that's, you know, sort of high level gear, you should be able to complete the dual quest. Now, what that means in practice, who knows? I mean, technically you can beat dual quests with high level gear at the moment currently, but you have to obviously be an extremely good player to do it. Hopefully this means that they are sort of relaxing the dual quests slightly so that they're a little bit more accessible. They also said that they're going to try and make it so that the capsules are not as difficult to get as well. So that all sounds really positive for dual quests, and if that is true going forward, it gives me a little bit more confidence about the dual quests going forward. So finally, just a couple of little things to round it out. So we're getting a monthly campaign that's starting, which starts on the 1st of February. So once a month, you'll get some special login gifts. So anyone who logs in during February will get 15 material storage use items and, 15-day material storage use item and 5 color change passes. That's actually really cool because it means that everyone then's going to have some access to material storage. So even though it's only 15 days, the good thing about the material storage is you can just dump everything into it, and then when it expires, it will still stay in there. It just means that if you withdraw things from it, you won't be able to put them back in. Generally, you just take materials from your storage to use them anyway, so that should be a big help to people, I think. There is also a few campaigns running in February as well, so Ultra PSO2 Day Triple Burst on the 2nd of February. So we're getting login gifts, including super boosts of 100% experience, 200% rare drop boost, and 200% drop item preset skill rate. And we're also getting preset skill enhance rate plus 15% and augmentation rate plus 20%. And then they're also going to do a premium exclusive Ultra PSO2 Day later in the month as well. And then also, after the scheduled maintenance on the 21st of February, Remnants of Ambition, Mining Rig Kvaris, and Halphia Lake Counterattack Part 2 will be pre-announced quests, so they'll be at specific times. During those quests, the enemy HP will also be reduced, and the urgent quest will be done twice. So if you want to farm anything like Aegis Souls from False Aegis, or anything from the new Kvaris quest, that might be the time to do it. So that was what we got announced in the headline for the 30th of January. So what are my overall impressions of it? Honestly, I feel like it was a bit underwhelming. There just seemed to be this thing with Sega now where we do seem to be taking old urgent quests and then just repurposing them as limited quests. So we've had it with Next Vera, and we've got it again now with Dustyl Vera. And I kind of see that continuing with other quests, to be honest. I mean, there are a few quests that have just been taken out of rotation, so it could be that they get turned into limited quests later as well. I just feel like it's easy content for Sega to do, but not particularly exciting. I am excited to see some of the changes to the creative space just to make things a bit easier to work with, and some of the changes that they added to the combat zone, such as that Crimson area with the new boss. That looks really, really interesting, and I want to see more of that kind of thing. But overall, I feel like it was quite a weak headline overall. There wasn't too much in it. I'm guessing that maybe once Chapter 6 is done and we go on to a new chapter, maybe we'll get a bigger update then. But this one does seem like a little bit of a filler update, to be honest. So I think I'll end this one there. If you've got any questions at all about the headline or anything you want to mention, just pop it in the comments below and I will try and answer whatever I can. You can also follow me on Twitter, which is at twitter.com/SextonSkylight. I'm over there, and I also tend to stream once a week as well, which is normally a mix of PSO and NGS content. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider liking or subscribing to the channel, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.